Hi everyone, I'm Masi, and today we're going to be talking about the book Frankenstein. The book was published in 1818 in London. The author is Mary Shelley, and she completed this story at the mere age of 18. When most people think of Frankenstein, they think of a monster with bolts on its neck that can barely walk. But the truth that many don't know is that Frankenstein is actually the name of the scientist that created the monster. Mary Shelley tells the story of a young scientist named Victor Frankenstein who makes a living being out of non-living material. The book begins with the end, Captain Walton writing to his sister while aboard a ship. You see, Walton is a failed writer, and to achieve fame, he has decided to go on an expedition to the North Pole to recount new discoveries. While Walton and his crew are looking out, they see a gigantic being pulling a dog sled, and later see and rescue a man nearly frozen to death named Victor Frankenstein. Frankenstein had been chasing the monster but could not reach it and was nearly dying. Frankenstein warns Walton about ambition and how the drive to become famous has brought about his own demise. Then we see Frankenstein's story. He's from a wealthy family, and he and his brothers Ernest and William are encouraged to seek greater understanding by studying chemistry. When Victor is 5, his family adopts a girl named Elizabeth, and he falls in love with her. Just before going to university, Victor's mother dies of scarlet fever, and to keep his mind off the grief, he obsesses over his experiments. As a result, he finds a technique that can give life to non-living matter. He fantasizes about creating a beautiful humanoid and explores this possibility. Finally, he has created life, but it's a hideous monster. He dismisses his creation at the moment and walks around town. So as he's walking, he runs into a friend and decides he's going to show his creation to his friend. They walk back to the apartment to find it empty. The monster had fled. Finding that his creation has escaped has such an impact on him that he's sickened for 4 months. And just when he recovers, he learns that his brother has been murdered back home. So he goes back home, and he sees the monster near the crime scene, leading him to believe that it is responsible. Unfortunately, the person convicted of the crime was William's nanny, and she is hanged. Victor can't do anything to stop this wrongful conviction, though, because he knows no one will believe that an experimental, botched-up zombie creation killed his brother. So, tormented by guilt and grief, Victor hides in the mountains. The monster finds Victor and asks him to hear his side of the story. The monster speaks so eloquently and is so educated that it convinces Victor to listen. The monster tells his side of how he feels betrayed by his maker and banished from society. That is why he killed William, to retaliate against his creator. And so basically, the monster feels lonely. So it asks Victor for a partner, a female partner. It makes Victor an offer he can't refuse. If Victor makes a female companion, they will disappear in the South American forest, never to be seen again. Now, if he refuses, the monster will not stop torturing and killing everything that is Victor's until there's nothing left to destroy. Oh, and the monster also says that it will be secretly watching over Victor's progress, which is not creepy at all. So Victor agrees, but at one point, he insists that the monster leave him. While working on the female partner, Victor has premonitions that she would be more evil than the monster, and he is terrified at the thought of the two breeding a race that could plague mankind. At this, he destroys the female companion, but realizes that the monster was watching him through a window all along. So, the monster later tries to convince Victor to work again, but he refuses, thinking that the pair would be a danger to humanity. The monster then vows that he will be with him on his wedding night. So, more stuff happens, but in Geneva, Victor's about to marry his childhood love, again, Elizabeth, that we heard early in the video, and he tells her to wait for him while he looks for the creature to fight him. He's trying to protect her by keeping the fighting away from where she is. But what he doesn't know is that when the monster said that he will be with him on his wedding night, it meant that it will be going after his wife. So, if you think about it, the monster's course of action is believable because he is killing everything Victor loves. The monster is saying, if you can't give me the only thing I'm asking for, which is the love of a partner, I will take away yours. That's pretty believable. And so, seeking revenge, Victor follows a monster to the North Pole, but collapses from exhaustion and possible hypothermia. And this is where Captain Walton finds him in the beginning of the tale. This is where the book begins. So, after the creature has vanished, Walton's ship becomes trapped in ice and a few of his men die. Walton's crew insists on returning south once the ship isn't stuck to avoid death. And Victor tells the men that the glory of their quests is enough motivation for them to continue. Now, these words moved the men for 2 days, okay? And then they went back to Captain Walton and he agrees to return. So, just before the ship heads back to England, Victor warns Walton to avoid ambition and dies shortly thereafter on the ship. A few days later, the captain hears a sound coming from the cabin Victor is in and finds a monster mourning over Victor's dead body. The monster feels empty and regrets doing the hard things it did. It is completely alone now. Now that its creator is dead, the monster is like, well, I want to die as well. And Walton watches the creature move away on a raft of ice that is soon lost in the dark distance, never to be seen again. And that is Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. It's an interesting tale analyzing human nature and the psyche. And that's all for today. Thank you for staying tuned as I talked about this classic. See you next time.